One News Radio, and a good morning to you. We are happy to have in studio with us right now Shelton Police Chief Darrin Moody. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Have you in to talk a little bit about some of the incidents that happened across the country over the last couple days and in Olympia specifically last night. When you have your morning meeting with your officers, what do you talk to them about after a night like what happened in Dallas?
You know, it's hard to say. I mean, what do you say? We talk about empathy since I've gotten here and realizing where people come from and who they are and their different tendencies. But usually I'm just there to listen for them because, you know, you can imagine what they have to go through in something like this. And they're going, geez, do I want to go out and do my job today and risk for just because I'm wearing this uniform of what's going to occur? You know, our heart and prayers go out to Dallas and what they're dealing with there, to the community and to the department itself. And you look at this overall and you start to say, all lives matter, period. Nothing makes your stomach turn more as an officer than to see an officer break the law and do something that makes us look bad when we were sworn to protect. But we've also, as a nation, at what point did it become okay to assault police officers?
Right.
At what point did it become okay to fight with police officers? And at some areas, we condone that. We can go into the schools today, as I have, and you talk to young kids, and some of them will say, well, it's okay to fight back when you're getting arrested, right? At what point did we teach that? At what point did that become the norm or the okay, acceptable? I'm not there in any of these incidents. I can't say what happened, but I can tell you that you look at some of them and you say, would a cooperation on both sides have gone a long ways towards resolving this without violence?
It seemed in the protests before the sniper fire last night that the police and the protesters were interacting peacefully together, and everything was moving throughout the city of Dallas, and then something just turns like that. Do you know of, so you came from California, a similar style of city, but bigger, is that right?
Correct.
Fairfield?
Much more diverse than what we face here.
Did you have any of these situations, protesting situations that may have turned violent?
We had some in the area I was in, but, you know, in the greater Bay Area and in California in general, Oakland, a lot of things broke off in Oakland, and we went there to help with that. And there are times when you're walking the streets with these folks, escorting them through safely to make sure everything gets safe in these protests. But, you know, I go back to as a new officer or a younger officer in the early 90s getting hired and getting ready to tell us we were going to go down and face L.A. for the Rodney King riots. They were ready to put people on buses in Northern California to ship them down to L.A. And you see the protests going on, some peaceful, right or wrong for protesting, but you see, you know, what flashes in my mind is the truck driver, Reginald Denny, back then. Here's a guy just working, trying to go home. Since when did it become okay to protesters to beat him to death? Or near death.
Yeah, he was in the intersection. They drug him out.
You know, and you look at what's gone on in Olympia last night and around, and people have a right to protest. Absolutely. That's protected. We are there to protect them as much as anybody else. They have the rights as well. But at what point do you say protesting is violent? It's just, it baffles me, I guess you could say.
Do you get notices of potential threats against Shelton police officers?
Occasionally, yes. We will get, you know, somebody will say, hey, FYI, this officer out here or this officer out here, and we have to handle that accordingly. Luckily here, it hasn't happened very often since I've been here. We've had it occur. You know, you hear people get on the media all the time and say, oh, I was wrongly accused of this, and the police, you know, wrongly accused me of that. Okay, now on the flip side of that, put yourself in an officer's situation. The minute an officer's accused of something, his face is all over the nation. Right. For right or wrong. And they're going to face those threats and the things that occur.
So would you say for, unfortunately, situations like this seem to just be getting more and more, the training that you guys provide is just going to have to be more intense and more widened, or?
You ask people, you know, I've been doing it 30 years, and 30 years ago I would have never thought we'd be going through training that we're going through now. And you know, we just finished a segment in our agency of dealing with transgender people and dealing with that, and how do you deal with that? How do you empathize with those people? And yesterday and today, as a matter of fact, I invited Jeff Chu down because we're going through force option simulator training, which is basically you put yourself in a video surround situation and you have to make that call instantaneously. Is it a use of force? At what level is that use of force? And we do this continuously. When we did our active shooter training in the school district, what we told the teachers is put yourself in that officer's position. We're thinking all the time while they're in a car. They may just look like they're in a daze sitting there at the stoplight going, okay, I'm waiting to get off work as an officer. But they're also thinking, what do I do if this happens? What do I do if the guy comes through this intersection right now and does this? And so that's what we try to instill there is you are constantly on high alert. And it's training. And on days like today, you go back there and I'll listen to those guys. And I'm basically their sounding board to sit back and just air out what they need to air out and move forward.
Do you think it's harder to find qualified individuals to want to be the police officer and uphold the duty to protect the people? I mean, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think so. They go through psychological evaluations, polygraph examinations, all of these backgrounds to try and figure out if this is the best candidate for this position, the best fit. It's not for everybody. We just did a reserve academy. During that reserve academy, we had at least one recruit come in and say, this isn't for me. And it is hard. You take a situation like today, it's, in a smaller version, I guess you could say it's similar to military. There are things that people will be inspired to be a police officer and want to change the world today. The flip side of that is there's going to be some qualified people that are going, this is not worth it. I can't do this. So you get both out of that. And, hopefully we continue to recruit the best and get candidates that want to change the world and want to make it a better place.
In the case of the Minnesota Facebook Live posting there in social media, so the officer now is on paid administrative leave pending investigation. What is that? What would an officer, what's going on now?
Well, I can tell generically.
Sure, yeah.
Generically what occurs in something like that is it's done for a few reasons. One, if that officer did wrong, do you want that officer on the street right now? Two is, what that officer, like any person in that, is going through psychologically right now is not fit to be on the street. You need a break. You need a mental break. You need a physical break. You need to go home and say hi to your family. And third, it takes a period of time, just like anything in the justice system. Anybody, you get arrested tomorrow, it takes a period of time. You get charged or accused. And so during that period of time, is it right to have that person out on the street? Sometimes they'll be reassigned to desk duty in the office. Sometimes they'll be on administrative leave. It's a necessary process that we have to go through in the scrutiny. And so for that, it's better for the agency, the community, and the officer. We're looking out for all three of those interests when we do that.
And then we were talking with Casey Salisbury, the Mason County Sheriff, last hour. I was asking him about social media. What do you think about the Facebook Live? I mean, 3-4 million people have seen the video, and it's viral, and it's out there now. You can turn on that camera right as soon as something happens.
And, I said it once before when I came in here. If you see it on Facebook, it must be true, right? That's what you hear. And the social media thing is, we have to get used to it. It's here. The problem is, my concern out of this is, A, is somebody going to be wrongly accused because of that? And B, have we stirred things such as this so-called sniper in Dallas? Is somebody sitting out there watching this on social media going, I need to be that person. I can do this. I can be the celebrity on social media, the copycat kind of situation. And those are the things that concern me on that is, did you just stir this anger in somebody who probably is not stable? And for those who are stable, do we need to rise and understand what's going on? Yes, but we need to do it cooperatively, together. Violence isn't going to solve anybody's problems. And I'd like to say that for all of the officers that have done something wrong, absolutely, we are not perfect. However, there are tens and thousands of officers out there every day that are doing the right thing. Here in Shelton, 99% of those officers are doing the right thing for the right reasons. And but what do we focus on? We focus on the bad.
Right.
I mean, as a citizen, you want to believe that the police are out there looking for you, and then you hear everything. So it's hard for citizens also.
It is. And, as a community member, you start to cringe when you hear these things and go, okay, how do I know that this guy's good? How do I know that this young lady's good? And that's where trust goes a long way to it. And we've tried to build that here in Shelton as much as we could. We're out every day just talking to people. Like I said, last year we had 10,000 calls for service and contacts in the city last year. And of those, the percentage that resulted in the use of force in the city was minute. So we need to look at all of that. But then we look at those and we go, okay, if we used force 5 times, was the force appropriate for the situation? What caused it? And what we found here is most of it occurs after 5 p.m. till about 3 a.m. in the morning. Most of it occurred with either mentally unstable or some kind of narcotic or alcohol on board of the person. So this is the problem that you're dealing with nationwide.
Shelton Police Chief Darrin Moody in this morning on Daybreak. Thanks for coming in.
You bet. It's interesting because Jerry got a hold of us this morning and said, would you come on to do this? And you talk about social media. My phone went off at 3:15 this morning from a friend of mine in Pennsylvania saying, are you watching the news? I'm thinking, it's 3 in the morning. I'm not watching the news.
Right.
But it gets across country that fast. Sending me his prayers, going, are you okay?
Wow. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
8:25 at iFiber One News Radio.
ABC Entertainment News.